Hi readers, welcome to Novels with Nat. Today we are talking about one of my favorite thriller tropes or types of thriller books, which is haunted house type books. I absolutely love this trope. I love the cozy gothic feeling of these types of books, and it is perfect to read these types of books, especially in the fall, especially in October leading up to Halloween. So I thought I would put together a list of some of my absolute favorites and do a little recommendations video. So stick around and see if there's any of these books that you'd be interested in adding to your TBR for this fall. Alright, so I just want to first say that when I talk about haunted house books, I include haunted houses, haunted apartments, haunted cabins, anything like that. I'll also say that not all of the books on this list are necessarily paranormal. A lot of them toe that line where it's like the author trying to allude, like, is what's going on paranormal? Is it not? Is there ghosts? Is there not? And so that's like all part of the mystery itself. So some of these books are paranormal, some of them are not, but I'm not going to distinguish which are which because I feel like a lot of them do sort of toe that line. And so I don't want to have any kind of spoiler by saying which ones are or aren't. All right, so it would not be a haunted house video if not mentioning Riley Sager. He's one of my favorite thriller authors, and he's done a couple of sort of haunted house type stories. So I'm going to include two of my favorites. The first one is Home Before Dark. And in this book, we're basically following a main character named Maggie. Years ago, her and her parents moved into a house in Vermont, and they stayed there for about 3 weeks, and there was just a lot of creepy stuff happening, a lot of unexplainable things going on, and they fled in the middle of the night, and they did not return. Her father then went on to write a book about the events of what went on in those 3 weeks when they were living there, and he called it The House of Horrors. Now it's years later, Maggie is grown up, and she now inherits this home, which she hadn't been back to ever since this took place when she was a child. And she honestly doesn't believe what her father had talked about in his book. She doesn't believe in ghosts. She doesn't believe that actually happened. But when she moves back there to renovate it to resell, weird, creepy things start happening again, and she's sort of thrust into this mystery. This is, I would say, one of my top 3 favorite Riley Sager books. I just love the atmospheric vibe. I love the sort of book within a book element because I believe we are getting chapters of Maggie's father's book throughout the story. And so I just love that element. And so this one is a perfect book to read in October. I would definitely recommend this one. All right, next up we have a thriller slash horror book that was super popular, I believe, last year when it came out. But I would definitely recommend it to anyone who hasn't read it yet. And it is We Used to Live Here. This book was so visceral when I was reading it. It really draws you in. Also, I would 100% recommend the audiobook with this one. It genuinely scares me. Like, there are sort of jump scares in the audiobook that you don't get that experience from reading it physically, so definitely check out the audiobook. In this book, we're following a couple named Charlie and Eve, and they basically got a really good deal on a house. And so they move into this house, and one day there's a knock at the door. And it is a family who tells them that we used to live here. Do you mind if we come in and show our kids around? And so they want to be nice to this family. And so they let them come in and show their kids around. And then really weird things start happening. There is a weird presence going on in the basement. One of the children ends up going missing. And the family is just not leaving. They're kind of overstaying their welcome. And Eve and Charlie kind of want them to leave, and they're just not. And then suddenly Charlie vanishes and Eve is like, what is going on? This is crazy. Where is my partner? And the story just evolves from there. This one was just so engaging. Like, the writing style really draws you in. I will say I was not a fan of the ending of this book. I just felt really unsatisfied. It was not my favorite ending, but the story and the process to get there was so entertaining that I had to include it on this list. I gave it, I believe, 3.5 or 4 stars. It was a really fun time, just not one that I would say is like hit the 5-star mark. But I'm very excited because I do believe this one is going to be a Netflix movie. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but I think it is set to be a Netflix movie. So I think it should be a really good movie to watch, especially in the fall time, and it's a good book to read in the fall time as well. All right, now of course we have to have another Riley Sager recommendation. This is my favorite Riley Sager book that he's ever published. I don't know if he'll ever be able to top this one for me. And it is Lock Every Door. This book is so good. It is so entertaining, so fun, and the twist had my jaw on the floor. In this book, we're basically following a main character named Jules, and she sees an ad for a job of an apartment sitter. And so basically, all you have to do is go and watch these rich people's apartment while they're away, water their plants, make sure everything's good, and you can stay there for free. And so she thinks like, wow, this is a perfect job. So she ends up taking the job at this luxurious apartment building called the Bartholomew. And while she is there, really weird, unexplainable things start happening. And then suddenly, one of the other apartment sitters in another unit ends up going missing. And so now Jules is thrust into the mystery of what is happening. Where is this girl? Where is she gone? What's going on in this apartment? And tries to solve the mystery from there. This one, the twist really did get me. I still remember reading this twist and just being like, wow, like that was so good. Like I didn't see that coming at all. Definitely would recommend this one for fall. It's got that like haunted apartment type of vibe to it. And the Bartholomew is just so atmospheric. I love the name of the apartment even, so I would definitely say pick this one up this fall. All right, this next one is my favorite Ruth Ware book, and it is The Turn of the Key. In this book, we're basically following a main character named Rowan, and she sees an ad for a live-in nanny, and she thinks it's a perfect job. So she takes the job, and this house is like a smart house. You've got like cameras everywhere, and everything's very technological. And so what she doesn't know going into this job is that it's going to end with one of the children unalived, and she will be on trial for murder. And so what's so unique about this story is it's written from Rowan's perspective. She is in jail and she is recounting the events of what happened in letters to her lawyer. So I just really loved that style of writing. It's all the events in this took place in the past, and she's telling her lawyer, this is what went on, this is what happened, I'm innocent. This one also, you have to listen to it on audio. The narrator of this one did such an amazing job. She did like these really creepy sort of reenactments of the noises that were going on in the house. I still remember it to this day, and I listened to this audio like 3 years ago. So it was so well done. You have to listen to it on audio if you're going to read it, and I think you should do it this fall. All right, and then I had to include one classic on this list. I'm not a huge classic reader. I'll read them occasionally, like maybe one or two a year. And so I had to include one on the list, and it is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This one I did enjoy. I always find it a little bit difficult for me to get into the writing style of classics, but this one wasn't too bad. I gave it 3 stars. It was definitely enjoyable. If you're into classics, go for this one for sure. In this book, we're basically following our main character, Eleanor, and there is basically this house called Hill House that has a reputation for being haunted and for having some weird stuff going on. And so Eleanor is meeting up at Hill House with another group of sort of ghost hunters, and they're going to be sort of assessing what is going on at Hill House. And things just spiral from there. Things start getting weird, creepy stuff starts happening, and it's just a haunted house story from there. Says Shirley Jackson's chilling tale is one of the 20th century's most effective and unsettling ghost stories, and I'll definitely say this one is unsettling. So if you're looking for a classic, haunted house classic, I think this is the best. All right, this next book I absolutely loved, and I was not expecting to love it as much as I did, but I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. I recognize that it might not be for everyone because this is a bit of like a campy horror type of story, and it is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. This book was so wild. It was just a wild ride, and the writing was so good. I had such a good time with this. Basically, in this book, we're following our main character who gets a call that her parents have both just passed away. And so now she is going back to their childhood home, and meeting up with her brother to sort of go through their belongings and get the house ready for sale. Now, her parents were a bit of eclectic people. Her mom had like a weird obsession with puppets. And so there are a lot of puppets all around the house. And so while they are in the house trying to get it ready for sale, again, weird, creepy things start happening. It was such a wild, fun, campy ride, and if you like weird horror, definitely check this one out. All right, my last recommendation. This is, I think, the only sort of very new release on this list. This one came out a couple of months ago, and it is We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough. This is one of my favorite thriller books of the year. I had such a great time with this book. 4.5 stars for me. And I love Sarah Pinborough all the way around, but this is definitely a haunted house book by her. This book is so atmospheric. It is like got those gothic feeling, and you're kind of claustrophobic in this house and weird things are going on. I just love books that are unsettling, and this book makes you feel really unsettled. It makes you feel uncomfortable. And I love to be made to feel uncomfortable when reading thriller and horror books, especially like haunted house type books. So this one did a really good job of that. We're basically following our main character, Emily, and she was in an accident that nearly killed her, but she ended up surviving. So her and her husband moved to a new house to get a new start, and it's called Lincoln Lodge. And like fires start blowing out in the night. Bookshelves are like having books thrown out of them by themselves and nobody touches them. But all of these weird, creepy things only happen to Emma, and they never seem to happen when her husband is around to witness it. And so it's kind of that like, is this an unreliable narrator? Like, are these things happening because she's still not well from her accident? Or is this house really haunted and is something going on? And so Emily kind of really focuses all of her energy on trying to figure out what is happening at Lincoln Lodge, what is going on here. And I just had such a great time with this book. That last chapter was so good. I just wrapped it up so well. Sarah Pinborough always just kills it with her last chapters, or her epilogues, and they're just so entertaining. Like, I just think it was so well plotted. There were themes being interwoven throughout. It was so good. One of my favorite thrillers of the year. All right, so those are all 9 of the haunted house thriller and horror recommendations that I have for you. I hope that there are a couple on this list that maybe you haven't read that you want to add to your TBR for this fall, specifically leading up to Halloween. I think all of these books would be amazing to read leading up to Halloween. I always look for a very specific type of book to read on that week leading up to Halloween, but then on Halloween night itself. And so drop in the comments below if you have any recommendations that maybe I should look into. But these are my recommendations for now. Also, let me know in the comments if you enjoy this like haunted house type of trope, or if it's something that you find annoying. I think some people have definitely expressed that they don't particularly like this trope, but it's one of my absolute favorites. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and keep an eye out for more fall videos, haunted, spooky, thriller type videos. It's the perfect time of year for it. I'm in my reading prime in the fall, so I'm very excited for all of the book videos and content and reading, and it's just going to be a great time. So thank you so much for watching this video, and keep a lookout for another one coming very soon. Bye.